I am an expert.
And a professional.
The Army is an American profession of arms, a vocation comprised of experts, certified in the ethical application of land combat power, serving under civilian authority, entrusted to defend the Constitution and the rights and interests of the American people. Throughout our nation's history, our Army has endured periods of great conflict. It has protected our nation's interests and adapted to an ever-changing character of war. These periods of conflict were often followed by transitions in our Army that were shaped by the hard lessons learned in war. In the face of so many unique and difficult challenges, our Army has demonstrated great strengths, such as our resilient determination, professional ethic, and unmatched adaptability. Today, our magnificent Army is once again in a period of transition. According to former Army Chief of Staff General Eric Shinseki, the most important role of senior leaders is to manage transition and change within the profession of arms. With that in mind, and after nearly 10 years of warfare, our Army now enters another period of transition that calls for us to understand where we have been so we can determine where we want to go. We should ask ourselves how we have changed and how we must adapt in a world where the dangers are always evolving. We must think deeply about our profession. We must look to the future and continuously strive to improve our forces. But what does it mean to be a profession, and how has the Army measured up to these characteristics? March 15, 1783. It would go down in history as the Newburgh Conspiracy.
Gentlemen, you will permit me to put on my spectacles, for I have grown not only gray, but almost blind in the service of my country.
Reacting to Congress's refusal to fund soldier retirement, American troops prepared to march on the Capitol in full rebellion. Yet General Washington completely diffused the fury in his men by merely recalling their shared professional sacrifice.
When we assumed the soldier, we did not lay aside the citizen.
Thus, it was Washington who established the primacy of civilian control over the profession by insisting his troops respect their mandate of civilian authority. Perhaps there is no greater example representing the tenets and values of the profession of arms. Professions are a calling, not a job. They don't motivate their workers by salary, benefits, and promotions. Instead, it's the privilege and honor of service, culture, and camaraderie, and the status of membership in an ancient and revered occupation. September 19, 1944, Battle of Brest. Brigadier General Charles Canham arrived to accept the surrender of the Germans. The higher-ranking German commander sternly demanded to see the credentials of the American. Undeterred, General Canham turned to his nearby troops and stated, "These are my credentials." Professions produce uniquely expert work that requires years of study and practice. September 2, 1945. After a lifetime of study and practice of the profession of arms, General Douglas MacArthur stood on the deck of the USS Missouri and accepted the Japanese surrender. It's not hard to understand how General MacArthur was a true expert on the unique challenges of Southeast Asia and the military profession. But during the Korean War, MacArthur forgot the mandate of serving civilian authority, causing President Truman to remove him from command. Professions earn the trust of their clients through their ethic. October 25, 2007, Afghanistan. Staff Sergeant Salvatore Giunta and 7 troops were ambushed by insurgents. He charged through extreme enemy fire to rescue a comrade who had been shot and captured by the Taliban. Staff Sergeant Giunta was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor for his actions. He embodied the warrior ethos that says, "I will never leave a fallen comrade." The profession of arms is a unique profession because of the lethality of our weapons and our operations. The core purpose and reason the Army exists is to apply lethal force. The brutal truth is, soldiers must be prepared to kill and die when needed in service to the Republic.
Our Army is a profession because it possesses some unique capabilities for our nation. It's chartered by the Constitution of the United States and the officials elected to uphold that Constitution with the application of violence. It has a monopoly on violence on behalf of the nation's interests. Because of that, and derivative of that fundamental purpose, that is to say, the management of violence, to use General Sir John Hackett's phrase, because of that mandate and sacred trust, it has several characteristics that define it. One is expertise. It must have the skills to be able to apply violence in a rational, reasonable, proportional, and appropriate way on behalf of the nation. It has a commitment to service. It serves. It has a service ethic. Part of its behavior is to serve. It serves the American people. It serves itself. It has a commitment to career-long development. So professional development is one of the things that characterizes a profession. A lifelong commitment to learning, to improving, to becoming better at that which defines the profession. It carefully selects those who are chosen to lead it. It's self-regulating in that regard in many ways. And it lives to an ethic, a set of values. We know them as the Army values. So being a profession is not simply a matter of taking an occupation, declaring a profession, and calling ourselves a profession. It's really a matter of living up to those tenets, those principles that define a profession in agreement with our client, the people of the United States, and in support of the Constitution and our elected leaders who uphold it.
The transition we must pass through can be defined by answering three questions. What does it mean for the Army to be a profession of arms? What does it mean to be a professional soldier? And after 9 years of war, how are we as individual professionals and as a profession meeting those aspirations?
The Army is not a profession just because we say so.
Our client, the American people, gets to make that decision.